Eloquence is the ability to be fluent or persuasive in communication. Within combat, to be eloquent is to be graceful, subtle, or perhaps beautifully skillful. But all these ideals coalesce into one nucleus, to be able to commit violence better than another. So, in short, this is why the subtle, persuasive beauty of 150 rounds of quantity over quality is, without contention, the most eloquent build you can pick. It is, in other words, the pinnacle of eloquence. Now, if you will excuse me, I have a speech to give. Welcome to Stupid Builds, where I will show you some stupid builds. Some of these builds are our own creation, some are from a livestream chat, but all of them are stupid because of how strong they secretly are. Bungie has decided to fix one of my favorite builds, and I'm about to make it everyone's problem because the Icefall mantles were finally fixed! About damn time. We know you have seen this build already, so we won't tread here very long, but let me bring the few of you up to speed who have not already experienced the philosophy of aiming is for poor people. This build consists primarily of the sweet business, the funny accuracy by volume auto rifle, with a behemoth titan, and the previously mentioned Icefall mantles. You would assume a build that uses such bottom-tier pieces of gear would really struggle in the ever-competitive skill-based match-made sandbox, but you would be oh so mistaken. Our clever setup, stacking all of the Behemoth Titan's damage resist and stasis crystal defenses, allows the sweet business its much-needed time to spin itself up and do what it does best. Rip a Guardian in twain via a river of high-velocity lead. We call this build the Titanfall build, and this is the 2-year anniversary of this build's creation. Yes, it has survived that long. That can be what happens when you turn on your creativity and turn off your meta. Bungie doesn't often nerf the weird stuff. We run our Titanfall 2 Legion cosplay with Tectonic Harvest and Howl of the Storm for aspects. Then, Chains, Rime, Shards, and Torment for our fragments. We typically pair this with a glaive. But if I can be completely transparent with you, our special weapon frequently gets neglected like a Gambit player in Bungie's monthly board meetings. What? Too soon? You will know you have done this right when the enemies become trained to scatter like rats when they hear you rev up your death machine. When everything is stacked, you have as much survivability as a super. I can't recommend this build enough. 5 Legion Primes out of 5 TF2 heavy weapons guys. This is your mid-video reminder that we know where you live, and, on a completely unrelated note, that you should subscribe. Much appreciated. Speaking of being morally corrupt, Jotun. Now, while this is, handily, a meta weapon, I have a very convincing counter-argument that I'm certain you will concede to. Your mother. Sometimes you just need to be the bad guy for a while, which is exactly this livestream viewer's ideology. Osmiomancy gloves, Jotun, of course, and a medium-ranged primary. The goal is simply to make the already IP-tracking life-ending ranged fireball-casting Jotun into a guaranteed signed, sealed, and delivered execution by casting your enemies into a second ice age. This is where script writing becomes difficult. Normally on off-meta builds, there is some less than simplistic concept I must portray efficiently and convincingly so that you might give it a try. Or at the very least, understand that it is not for you, but there really is zero subtlety with a build like this. This is a build for a person who is looking to make enemies, not friends. Not that we will fault you for that, far from it. But even still, you already can easily ascertain the entirety of the playstyle and components of this loadout without any $5 vocabulary words. So how do I describe this in a way that is entertaining? Give someone a slowing effect and then blast them to Kingdom Come? Superglue them to the ground with a stasis turret, then send them on a one-way ticket to the gates of hell? Make them experience the muscle-relaxing relief of double-strength icy hot? You understand my conundrum, right? Is a build like this the most competitive? Absolutely not. Will you have fun with this build? Absolutely right. This is a build made for lazy people. It is essentially the most efficient farm for exotic tier hate mail. Kick back, relax, and soak in the salt. I didn't ask how large the room is, I said I cast Fireball out of 10. Hunters, your turn. We have had the Threaded Scepter, what we call Shadow Strand Jutsu, for a little while now. And while a few builds have come out that we quite enjoy, they all seem heavily reliant on a very narrowly effective gimmick. A gimmick that after a few minutes of combat the enemies wise up to. This build is not like the other builds. 6 Coyote, the last word, a grenade launcher, and our Strand Hunter. Together, this creates this fantastic bait-and-switch playstyle that was so different to anything I've ever played before, it actually took a bit of practice to fully appreciate. You can even see me struggling to force a quick swap playstyle onto this loadout, which only moderately was successful and clearly wasn't the goal of the build maker. Instead, the best pace to place your face within this space is to play it more like the ace and spray anyone who gives chase with green-colored mace.
Fuck you for the tongue twister, you absolute goon.
You can, rather effortlessly, use your clone as a sort of stand-in meat shield for damage and aggro, where the 6 Coyote, of course, supplies us with a double serving of charges to ensure we always have Jabate ready to go. Our grenade launcher was our long-range weapon, which surprisingly worked well despite the more lane-focused map of Bannerfall. It has been quite a while since I have been behind the trigger of the last word, but a more seasoned user will find far more success than me without a doubt. The deceptively effective side of this build was using our Threadling grenades to follow up on our initial wave of damage. These jolly green janitors ended up finishing off far more enemies than I would have given them credit for. And I was glad I already had equipped the Widow Silk aspect to gain 2 of them. This build will struggle against a dedicated backline player, but works wonders against the overly aggressive. My only major gripe was that the clones themselves often didn't deter the shotgun monkeys hard enough to fortify my chosen locations to stronghold. And the last word didn't help feed any of the rest of my build. It more or less stood in as a well-rounded no-you button against the shotgun slide combo, which I would argue a fair portion of other weapons would do just as well with more benefits. Definitely worth a try if you're looking to experiment with Strand Hunter. 1 jolly green giant out of 1 Minecraft slime. A bit of a confession. I get a sick amount of guilty pleasure out of eliminating players with things they don't understand. The more damage I can cause, physical, mental, or better still, emotional, the better. And no exotic does more emotional damage better than the Kepri's Horn. This exotic looks like someone tried to waffle stomp a dog turd down a leaf-choked storm drain. And what can your enemy do except despair when they are eliminated by such a helmet? This idea was spawned out of the first build's premise of making Titanfall Titans out of Destiny Titans. This one, as I hope you can tell, was meant to be one of Big Papa Scourge. Originally, we were meant to use the Pyrogols, but Lost Sectors can suck my left cabal, so I don't have it yet. Regardless, I am glad my own lack of patience brought this particular combination to me because it is so damn funny. Our main armaments of choice were the Traveler's Chosen for both a well-rounded close-range tool and ability regeneration, and a wave-frame solar grenade launcher. This we ran with the aspects Sol Invictus and Consecrate to try and stay into the Scorched Titans theming. I had suspected this build would struggle against a more one-and-done playstyle, but I'm happy to report that I had a riot of a time. I felt like a walking forest fire as every living thing that crossed my path was set ablaze. Oftentimes, this uncontrolled demolition was climaxed by the ending song of my Traveler's Chosen, which kept the fire fueled for future victims to the Fire Nation's attacks. While we didn't score any direct kills with our ugly-looking fire-starting helmet, we did often use it to great success to force enemies to respect our space. This is yet another build that I can't promise will make the bed, do the laundry, and make breakfast for you, but I can promise a contract with the devil to have a hell of a time with. Go and cleanse the world with flame. Subscribe. Bless your faces, and deuces.